Hello everyone and welcome back to Frank Film Club, where today we are going to be chatting about Maestro. You can watch it on Netflix. It was written and directed by Bradley Cooper. It was also written by Josh Singer, so Bradley can't get all the credit. Josh was there too. It's starring Bradley Cooper, Carey Mulligan, Hawke and Sarah Silverman, and it is about Leonard Bernstein, who is an American conductor and on the verge of securing a golden opportunity when he begins a tumultuous relationship with actress Felicia Montealegre, upturning both of their lives. Stay tuned for Oscar campaigns, successful and unsuccessful. Whether or not 6 years of prep goes unnoticed as far as the performances are concerned, and the ethics of a prosthetic nose. We're really going to go there today. But before we dive into the movie, how are you both? How have you been this last week?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Just been, what have I been doing? Just working really, and been out with Chip, the dog. But yeah, just been having a good time.
She's a busy bee.
Yeah, yeah.
Your dog and your son?
My dog and my son, yes,
Yeah.
/ son.
Firstborn.
Yeah.
I'm good. Did you ask?
Yeah, how are you, Han?
I'm good.
Someone cue me immediately.
I'm good. I'm actually house hunting at the moment. Ooh, yeah. So all of my dreams are coming true because I spend so much time on Rightmove. I think I've got like a fetish about, not sexual, but like about looking at other people's houses. And so now it's like I'm taking my fetish to the next level and I'm actually visiting the houses.
Wow.
So we got some viewings tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. And we're moving. I think it's going to move quite quickly, hopefully. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
That is
that's
so
so
exciting.
exciting.
Yeah.
I love going on Rightmove.
Do you?
Yeah, that's like my Saturday morning routine.
Scrolling.
Yeah.
I feel like this is really common then. I thought I was an enigma, but
No,
I'm not.
I've heard it. My sister does it. Do you
Yeah,
do this?
I don't do it,
Oh.
no, but I've had boyfriends who have done it.
It's
lot.
so fun. You just imagine what could be.
Yeah.
But now you're actually doing viewings.
Yeah.
Oh, dreamy.
But I can't afford the ones that I normally look at is
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
Slap
It's
back
like
down
price
to
range
reality.
and I'm like, none. Let me see.
Show me the world.
Like, oh,
What can you
imagine
get?
that.
And then I got a flat
field.
in Ely. No shade to Ely if you're from Ely. It's in Cardiff.
Right.
But it's not top of the...
It's not top of the food chain in the terms of properties now. Absolutely not. But it's going good so far.
That's brilliant.
How are you?
I'm good. I restarted Zelda.
Yes.
So that's been my weekend activity, playing Zelda. It's a video game on the Nintendo. And I feel like they need to do a live action version. And I feel like Hunter Schafer needs to play Zelda.
Whoa, that would be so good.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Be so good.
I was also on my Switch the other day.
What were you playing?
Overcooked. You introduced me to Overcooked.
brilliant.
Me and Ron, we had a little Saturday night in and played Overcooked. And it was so fun, but stressful.
It is stressful.
Yeah.
You should play Unrailed. That one's
Oh, God. Okay.
gets the ticker pumping.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's a bit much. Had to stop like an hour before bed because we were like,
We've
we're
got
going
to
to sleep
wind
at this
down.
rate. Yeah.
Is Overcooked, are you in a restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Got
think
ordered
I've
some
played
in.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, I've played it. It's so fun.
It is fun.
You really have to cooperate with one another.
Yeah.
My brother just loves getting the fire extinguisher and spinning around in circles, pressing it. I'm like, it's not going to fill the orders, is it? It's not. It's funny.
We're not
but
going
we're
into
filling
business
the orders
together.
here.
But stop.
Look at us, game over again. Well done. We're all laughing. Well done. Okay, well, that's brilliant. We've all had a fun week. Fun week. So, Maestro. This one I've been excited to talk about. It's been everywhere. Oscars buzz, so on and so forth. This campaign has like really been forced down our throats, which is fun. And I'm just really, really intrigued to know what you both thought. Would you have watched this movie if it had not been picked for Film Club?
Yeah. Sorry. I had been excited to watch this.
Great.
I was excited to watch this film. And when I started watching this film, my excitement declined rapidly.
Okay.
And then I really went on a roller coaster with this because I was so excited to watch it, and I thought, I feel like it's going to be a bit try hard, but I feel like I will enjoy it. Like, it's going to be entertaining. And then at the start, I was like, oh my God, this is hellish. But then by the end, I actually shedded a tear.
Wow.
Shed a tear. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I'm excited to discuss.
God, that's interesting.
Yeah, I
Did
know.
you have
Shed?
quite the... No.
Not one.
Not one tear. I to be honest, I knew from the trailer that I was not going to love this film because I don't like this type of dialogue. I don't like this type of voice work. I cannot connect. And it really lived up to my expectations. It's like, the thing is, this is not for me. This film is not for me. It's not made for me. And it's not for me.
But you love musicals.
Is this a musical?
No. It's close. It's adjacent. Do you have any bits you want to dive in on?
Yeah, I think what I didn't love is that it tried to cover too much ground. It covers a lot of ground, a lot of time.
Okay, yeah. 40 years.
40 years. That's crazy. And I just felt like it could have been simpler. There were elements of it that I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, for example, their marriage, but then also the fact that he was like bisexual and also had all these relationships, or was so like charismatic and kind of like handsy with a lot of people, but in like I don't know, I just found that part of it really interesting. But then there was so many other elements to it that I was like, I don't know which part is this. I don't know where the story is. And so I got lost a lot, especially at the start.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And that was the biggest issue for me.
I do tend to agree. I think my first impression, the first time I watched this film, I was like, how am I going to make an episode about this? Because I'm lost. I'm like not super connecting with any parts of it. I love Bradley Cooper. I love Carey Mulligan. I think they're like two of the most wonderful actors. And I just was not clicked in at all. And then I went away and I researched the movie and I watched a bunch of interviews with people who worked on the movie, with Bradley. And I really started to dive into how he made this film and the creative decisions that he made and why he made them on this particular movie. And then I was like, this is a cool film. I like Bradley Cooper. I think he's a cool director. Let me watch it again. And then I watched it again and I like was clicked in and I was like, it was kind of the Wonka of it all, where I was like, I need to just let go of some of my frustration a minute and I have to just like sit with this. And when I clicked in that way, I found it far more enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate what he's done in the directing in this. I think it's just that, I think that there's so many, the way that it's all pulled together, I think it's orchestrated.
Like a maestro.
Really, really well. I think that, and I think there's so many memorable things. I tell you what about this film. This is a film that I'm probably going to see it referenced a lot in character and in like tone and...
Do you think?
Yeah, I do. But in acting, that is. Not...
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that. Because I think that part of the film that I didn't like is that it was... But maybe this is also me being like having such a preconceived like thoughts about the whole thing. Is that it felt really like you really feel its references so much and that it's really trying to be... It's like referencing so many other films, older films. So surely won't those be the references? I don't know.
Yes, so true. Those would be the references. However, I feel like because this has been brought to a contemporary cinema experience and they rely so heavily on those references, And like, yeah, I mentioned the dialogue and the voice work and stuff like that. To bring that to a contemporary film, which is now on Netflix, I think that's why it'll be referenced.
Yeah.
But I don't know in what way, but I just feel like this is just quite a unique film for this time.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little story on how this movie came about.
Okay.
A really small indie filmmaker named Steven Spielberg was going to make a movie about Leonard Bernstein and contacted Bradley Cooper, small indie actor, about playing him. And Bradley has had like a little ambition to play a conductor, or just like has always had an affiliation with conducting in a playful sense. As a child, I think he got given like a wand like for his 8th birthday. Okay. So he was like, this is so exciting. This feels like something that's like familiar. Really, really wanted to do it. When you're making a movie, this is something that Bradley said, when you're making a movie, you have to like have a big boiler room full of like drive to make the movie, because that's the only thing that's going to carry you through to the end. In the meantime, Steven Spielberg's boiler room full of energy to make this movie had depleted slightly because he'd found another film that he really wanted to make. And then Bradley was sort of like, I still really want to play him. And so he said, can I make the movie instead then? Like, is that okay if I go and do that? And like go and see if I can find a way into this story, because it's very, very early days. And Steven Spielberg sat down and watched an early color grade of A Star Is Born. This is like around that time when Bradley's, finishing his first feature, and gets up in the middle of the screening and goes over to Bradley and says, you can make the movie. So got the blessing. And then Bradley went on and chose to do it about the relationship with Felicia. Was that how we're saying it? Felicia.
Yeah, Felicia.
Needed the rights to the music, sat down with the kids, learned more about the family, started to build this world. This exact movie, the way you watched it, if it had been, this is more to you, if it had been directed by Steven Spielberg with all of these creative choices, would you have found it as try-hard and as, because of the prestige that comes with Steven Spielberg, or would you still have found it the same? I mean, it's hard to say, this is a hypothetical, but Bradley Cooper's a new director, so when you do something bold like this, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Is that tarnished because it's Bradley Cooper directing it? If it had been someone that was a little more experienced, would you be like, this is great?
Maybe. Although I do feel like I don't love a lot of Steven Spielberg's films nowadays.
Yeah.
So maybe not. But that is a very, very, very good point. I think there's a lot of the context behind it. People are like, oh, it's such try hard.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. Maybe not.
We sort of had the Oscar campaign hit us before we got to watch the movie, as happens quite often in the UK because movies release a lot later here. Did that shape your preconceived expectations of whether or not you're going to like this movie? What had you seen before?
I saw a couple of interviews that he did. No, not really. I mean, this try hard thing, I'm like, yeah, man, let me try hard. Like, I try hard. It's like, I'm trying hard every day. I'm trying really hard. And like the boiler room thing, I love that as an analogy. Because, is that right? An analogy?
Yeah.
Because it's true. Like, you have to have so much passion. And I think it's great to not pretend to be cool with it. Is it that he's try hard and that too much try hard with the influence makes the film feel overcooked, or is it more so like people saying he's try hard because of the interviews and he like is so clearly driven to do well at awards and all of that stuff? Like, what is the try hard thing? Is it both?
Yeah, I mean, I think every person in these like best actor, best actress category wants an Oscar, like that. I feel, but it's like when people can smell it, then they start to hate it. But in defense of Bradley Cooper, after watching loads of these interviews, I think he just is like, I think he's just really passionate person, and I think that things can be read a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Because when you see that someone's very passionate, and then they don't get it. It's like it's like within us to be like, haha, like you wanted an Oscar and you didn't get one. But when I actually was like sitting and listening to him talk about it, I was like enthralled. I was like, he fucking loves what he does. He loves it, and he loves it first before the praise. He loves to do it. I believe that like he would speak that passionately, regardless of like whether there was an Oscar at the end of the road. I got this, like I was hooked on his, and I think that when so many actors that he's worked with have basically said the same thing. These people trust him. The crew trusts him, the actors trust him. They are, whatever he's doing, the producers, we're going to be on board. And I think that that's like cool.
Do you know what though? It's like that just validates his passion in how he's speaking about the project. If it was phony and he was saying all of that stuff because he wanted, you know, if the stuff that he was saying wasn't true, or like he was over exaggerating his feelings towards it.
Yeah.
But if it's a genuine, sincere passion, then I don't find it try hard in like a bad sense. I think it's really cool to like wear that on your sleeve, and I like it. It's so funny. I'm really thinking about this a lot lately, about like taking yourself seriously. I think we've spoken about it before, taking yourself seriously as like an artist and really believing in yourself. And for another person to have sat there and said the same thing, that it would not have come off in that way. And I wonder what it is about certain people and their delivery, or just their like charisma or their being, that makes them go from boastful to just telling you facts.
Yeah,
because he's just saying it.
I think it's fully in the eye of the beholder, in a way.
Yeah.
Where you can read it both ways, and like you watch it all the time. People are like super successful actors, and then all of a sudden, like everyone turns on them, and they're like, you know what? I'm fucking sick of her. Actually, like, you know, the comment section,
right?
occasionally.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It is interesting.
Leonard Bernstein had an incredible life. So many things happened. How do we enter into it? He wanted to tie it to the marriage. He also knew that he wanted to score the whole thing with Leonard's music. Like, those were the things that he, like the pillars that he kind of had. Speaking of the relationship, Carey Mulligan. Thoughts and feelings on this performance from her?
I thought she was absolutely fab, and she was kind of like what saved the first half, which I do think was beautiful. I think the whole film is beautiful. There's no denying that. But when I was lost in the first half, I was kind of
searching for Carey.
Like my Carey, she'll help me. Like, she was actually kind of what pulled me through. And when I cried, it was when she died. Because I thought, don't leave me on my own in this film. I actually did enjoy the end of it. But yeah, I cried.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Me? I thought she was unbelievable. I really believed her. The voices, the accents, it took me a second, but I do love that like transatlantic old Hollywood voice. I think it's like addictive. But it took me a minute to get in. And then
one thing that pulled me out slightly with that accent, well, not with their accents, but it was their daughter, played by Maya Hawke. I felt like her accent felt too modern, and it pulled me out a bit. And I was like, wait, why is Mia Hawke here? Maya Hawke,
right.
Because she didn't have so much of the accent. And I know as a younger person, you might not have so much of an accent, but that I found a bit strange.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess I was only taken out at that point because I was like, Maya Hawke's here.
Yeah.
Yay. But no, I hear you. I think inconsistencies and things like that can just become really distracting. And when you're zoned out, you're out.
Especially on a film that is like so within a certain time and space and its own world. And I had a thought on Carey Mulligan though. She really didn't seem to age at the same rate as Bradley Cooper's character, and because he ages drastically and has a lot of change, and I thought it all looked really amazing. But Carey Mulligan just looks like beautifully young the whole time. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I wondered why they didn't give her any prosthetics.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you both about that.
Right.
One thing that I love about this movie, but you sort of touched on it in your opening thoughts, but what I love is how believable it is to watch Bradley Cooper span 4 decades. I was like, I watched him age in front of me in such a subtle way. Not subtle, obviously not subtle, but like every single stage I was like,
But there were so many subtleties to what physicality. Yeah, you just want to say.
And it's like something that it's something that is never as good as this, I don't think. But I always just have time for, because artistic license, it's like something that I can just get over. But I had to acknowledge in this how amazing he is at playing, spanning 40 years. Like,
that's his voice.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over the pitch of his voice in it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you, because he doesn't have a particularly low voice normally, does he?
No,
How do you do that?
Well, I mean...
Go on, do tell.
So what I think he did, I have no idea. I mean, I know that there's definitely he had a lot of source material. Actually, that is something that I've got noted. There's so much source material. It's recent enough history that like there's so many recordings of them speaking and so on and so forth, and the rhythm and the pattern of how they conversed with one another. And that influenced him writing the scenes like entirely. And he... just like clicked into it and then just could write dialogue in a way that like he felt really confident and comfortable. But I will say, like, just as the movie goes on, I think like there's like something like nasal that he starts to cut off and it all starts to like drop, which is like just a real classic thing that happens with age. But I mean, he's just a good actor. I think he just like analyzes things and puts things like scientific things in place, you know, to like age himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not loving Carey Mulligan's aging.
No, it really stuck out
consistent.
to me. Yeah.
I do have to agree. I think like for how amazing Bradley Cooper's prosthetics were, all that happens is like her wrinkles get deeper. But it's like her skin doesn't move in the same way.
Oh my God, I've just had a really gross thought.
Tell me.
Is it because she's the leading woman and they want to make it a bit more palatable?
Well, that's what I thought. That's what made me go, ooh.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't add up, and it makes me go a bit icky.
Unless she's just got a fantastic surgeon.
Yes, perhaps.
Something I want to come back to that you said earlier was about the dialogue in this. So it really overlaps one another. It really, it just feels improvised in places. It's not. It was all written, but this is something quite cool, I think, about when you see an actor start directing, is that they know the parts that they hate doing as an actor and they try to not get their actors to do it as a director. So the sound person that he worked with would like mic everyone so they could overlap one another seamlessly. Because quite often you ask someone, they say, in the edit we'll overlap you, but if you could just cut yourself off and then you could wait and then you do the interrupting line. Like it's the thing that sound people ask you to do quite a lot. And I get it. Listen, everyone has a job to do, and if there's not the budget for everyone to have the mics that they need, then, you know, fair enough. But from an acting perspective, it's so frustrating. And it's just like one of those things that Bradley really like stuck to his guns on. And when they're having that argument with where Snoopy goes past, it's just like, yeah, you're really in the scene, in the room. Speaking of moments like that, so there's not a lot of coverage. There is in some moments, but there are some scenes like that just play entirely in a wide shot. Lots of scenes. How was that for you? Did you hate that? Did you love that?
There was one, because I do love scenes like that. And I guess it kind of feels like a bit theatre-y. So some of them I did really love. There was one, though, that I was like, I feel like you're trying to do something here and it's not working for me. And that was when it was like, there was a hedge archway and then it was through a gate and you could hardly see them and it was a whole scene. And I was like, I feel like you're trying to be artistic here for no particular reason. I didn't love
hated that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I absolutely, that was like the worst part
I
of the
think
film
that
for me.
was the big try hard point
Yeah,
for me.
it
I
was,
was like,
yeah.
what are you trying to do? I didn't get that.
I know why he did.
Oh, God.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so those shots, why they're so far away, why there's no coverage. Feel what you mean. It feels try hard. I think what Bradley wanted to do, because he told me personally, when they're fighting or when certain information is being disclosed, he really wanted to find the blend between, so these people they're in the public eye. They're being watched, they're being listened to, and we're telling a story about their private lives. And I think by being sort of voyeuristic and sitting far away, it felt like it wasn't fully letting the audience in the movie sense, where we could sit and like watch the two of them discuss with one another, but we had an awareness of those things going on. He spoke about the Thanksgiving fight scene, argument, and that like his memory of his mum and dad arguing, not that they argued a lot, he also clarified that, so I want to as well. But like it would always be from far away, like you'd never be fully there, but you'd have like an awareness of it. So it came, it was a creative choice, not just to be like, what if we shot it from a gate? I think it was to tell these very intimate parts of their lives without giving the audience everything and being like, this is a movie and like welcome into the fight. This is how he speaks about it.
Yeah, which is fair, but
Impact,
like I would, sorry.
not met, but that's, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it, definitely, but I just think maybe do another shot then. I don't think the shot hit that.
No.
That shot in particular.
Yeah.
I think in the room, that makes total sense. I really liked that shot.
But you hate the gate.
But the gate, for me, it wasn't even aesthetically beautiful shot, you know. For me, anyway, I didn't find it an interesting shot to be like locked onto. I was already struggling to keep my focus, and I was like, this isn't even nice to look at, really.
Yeah. Like, I'm not fully on board with his reasoning there, because you're making a film about these two people, so you can't really hide from the fact that it's a story about them. Yeah. But interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
Fair enough.
Actors come directors. Usually it's like one movie, maybe two, passion project. I feel like, now I'm not going to reference every actor who's ever made a movie, but some that come to mind for me, Olivia Wilde when she debuted Booksmart, and then like Jonah Hill when he did mid-90s. There's something about the actor come director first feature that's like a coming of age tale or something. I don't know. I just feel like I want to watch them, but I also feel like I already know the vibe that it's going to be. But what I quite like about Bradley Cooper is that he's like just like really come in swinging. Like he shot a remake of a really iconic movie, and then he's done this, and the bold choices, like as a director, half the movie's in black and white. Like half the movie you can't even see the actors. Like there's something, I don't know, there's something real ballsy about it, and I think it's brave.
I think it's brilliant, absolutely. Like overall, I appreciate what he's doing as like a thesis for creating your work, but
it's not hitting for you.
It's just.
No, yeah, like I loved A Star Is Born.
Yeah, so good.
So good, so entertaining, great fun. So yeah, and like, yeah, he has done it differently. He's really like gone massive with his first film and second film. Like, I wonder how much the budget was for A Star Is Born. That's huge first film. That's absolutely massive.
Did he shoot anything before Star Is Born?
That was his debut feature. I don't know if he shot any short films. I don't think so.
Crazy.
I think that's what
Mad.
he just did.
Mad.
Like,
Good
how
for
can that
him.
be? Yeah.
Well, so he obviously has worked with so many iconic directors, and they all speak so highly of him, say that he asks so many questions, is always like on set. He never goes and sits in his trailer. Like he's always just like And so
He just loves it.
He just loves it, and the directors like really love him, and they think he's a good director. Like
That's so lovely.
it's quite like the praise from the directors that he's worked with who have watched his movies is like real high. They think shit, Bradley Cooper's a great director.
Oh.
Well, I then think that all like the
I mean, what do they know?
but like people then, myself included, being like, oh, who's this and who's this. It's only because we're jealous of how amazing he obviously is.
Yeah, we're just
and like
jealous.
because he gets so much praise, and we don't. Well, a lot of people don't like people getting praise. So yeah, fair play, Bradley.
What does a conductor do?
Please, someone tell me. What are you doing with your arms, babe? What's that?
Well, I was confused because I did because I think I know what a conductor does, but
Spill.
You keep everyone in time and keep like the move, not the movement, but like if it's going like we're going louder here and we're going quieter and we're getting the mood and we're getting you're leading everybody.
Absolutely. But surely they know that.
Well, no,
because they've been rehearsing. I get the time thing, but like, why do you have to? Like, they know that, right?
But
they
maybe it's
know.
just like a hype. Are you just like a hype person?
man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on like the need for or like the role of a conductor. But I watched a Vox video, so I know. Okay, so the right hand keeps time, correct?
Great.
Left hand is like it's giving information on like how it's played. The role of the conductor is to preempt the song. So it's like bringing people in, but it's talking to them right before they go. So it's not always in time with the sound.
Well, that's why, because when he
one's
does that, I was like, why is he so out of time?
Yeah,
that would make sense.
This one's doing the time, and this one's going, you get ready to be big. And then if they're both like this, it's like, okay, anyway.
Yeah, but I thought his timing one was out of time.
Okay, so
I was like, why is he?
yeah, you're not the only one. So he trained for 6 years to do that big over 6 minute scene live on set. He conducted a real orchestra.
That's cool. That is cool. Well, although what did the orchestra say?
Well, can't find anything from the orchestra, which maybe, but other musicians who know Bernstein's music. Okay, actually, this is another thing that I want to go on to before. So there's a conductor, but there's also a composer. Bernstein did both.
Yes.
Cool.
The conductor's job is to do the composer justice. How did the composer write this? How are they interpret it? So that's like, you hear, people can play the same bit of music but play it so differently. And the conductor's job is to say, like, this is how I think that Bach would have wanted it.
Yeah.
Bach.
Bach.
Would have wanted it. Whatever. Okay. So musicians who know Bernstein's music tried to play along with Bradley Cooper playing Bernstein and conducting, and they said that it didn't work. That were just they couldn't follow the time hand. It wasn't quite nailing it. However, amongst composers, Bernstein is seen as quite a theatrical. Amongst conductors, quite a theatrical conductor. Some people argue that the conductor should be very small and that it's about the music and about the orchestra. But Bernstein was like a real performer. And so arguably a hard, not conductor to follow for musicians, but a hard conductor to imitate as a conductor conducting a real orchestra, because he had quirks that were his own, and the orchestra get used to that. But when you're Bradley Cooper imitating it, it must be really great fun to do. However, those tiny little micro things might get lost and
But
still hated it.
my question still remains. They would have rehearsed. Like, I'm not...
Oh, fully.
I don't get the conductor thing because they rehearsed, right? So why are they...
Why are they
I guess
still
it's
there?
just a reminder, just like throughout, like, come on, because otherwise they're all they've got their music in front of them.
They're a
But
teleprompter.
they've got, I guess you just,
Oh, okay, right.
like the direct, yeah.
Yeah. When I think of it like that, that makes much more sense to me.
Because they're all facing out at an audience.
Yeah.
Vox said that it's all about like it's all the work that comes before. It's not actually about on the night. It's everything that they've done before, all of the prep that they've done before. But they're there to be like, remember what I said? Remember?
God, that's really interesting. Thank you for diving into that. I definitely needed it. In fact, wish I had it before I watched the film.
But this is my problem is I read all of this and then I was like, can't wait to watch that scene. But when I was watching it the first time, I was like,
what are you doing?
what are you doing? Yeah, fully. Final little thing that I want to talk about. The ethics of a prosthetic nose.
Oh, shit.
So Bernstein is Jewish and Bradley Cooper is wearing a big prosthetic nose, and that was quite controversial. And listen, as 3 white women who are not Jewish, we like, you know, what do we know? But it is worth us bringing up and chatting about. But where do you sit on that fence?
I think for me anyway, my interpretation of all of this stuff that, you know, rightfully so, when the pictures came out, the publicity pictures initially came out, is that it's a non-Jewish actor playing a Jewish character, and they've put a physical characteristic, I'm doing air quotes, to enable him to play the character. Yeah. And that's the issue, is that they're highlighting that as a characteristic of this Jewish character, but they haven't got a Jewish actor to do it. And we have conversations obviously in casting about this all the time. I think it's going to be an ongoing conversation for Jewish casting for sure, and something that we all are definitely much more aware of now and should be. But I remember when this came out at the time, and I did see that the family, which we haven't touched upon yet, but the family had said, but they were making him look more like my dad and not like a Jewish person, but as my dad facially, that's what they were doing. And so that's the argument for it. I do think that the publicity image that I saw, I don't think did they change it after? No, they couldn't have changed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of the comments was that the nose like matches Bernstein's, but the rest of Bradley Cooper's face is like different in shape, and so the nose then becomes like really obvious in a way that it wasn't necessarily on Bernstein's face, because the rest of his face was, you know what I mean? Noses are like in balance with everything else, but when you have a different face and then you added it. So, yeah, my thoughts on it. You didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you. Like the prosthetic nose, like all actors use all the time for all sorts of characters when they're playing a real person. And for us to say, no, you can't do it because that's a stereotype, is that not just perpetuating the stereotype and saying that you're only doing it because he's Jewish? No, you're doing it because it's how, you know what I mean? It's like not an accurate stereotype.
What's the alternative? Would they make him look like Lenny and then not just count the nose out of the equation? And is that,
I guess the alternative is get another actor, which it sounds like for Bradley doing this film was never an option for him. But is that the problem, that he should have considered it not being him? Maybe. But then knowing that the family are happy with it makes me think, okay, well, I mean, I don't have a say in that. So, yeah, interesting.
So Zoe Boxenbaum, who is a journalist, and I can't remember who she was writing for here, but I have a little quote from an article that she'd written up about it. She's Jewish. She said, Maestro serves as an exemplar for future films for how to fairly represent and pay respect to an individual without the storyline hinging on stereotypes. It is true to me now more than ever that there is no one-size-fits-all answer for whether or not an actor should be portraying an identity that is not their own. It is impossible for every viewer of every film to take the same side on these types of sensitive issues because they are so inherently personal. Considering this, I can discern myself that I must form my opinion on a case-by-case basis, but Maestro gets my stamp of approval. But she's basically said that there's been times where it hasn't, and she's been like, fuck this.
Oh, right, interesting.
But it's just, you adapt and grow and change every day.
Yeah.
You mentioned there about the family and their thoughts and feelings about this movie. They're really happy with it. They're really proud of it. They really loved it. And they came and watched an edit, and the scene where they're all doing the hand slaps right before Felicia passes, where they're all hugging and cuddling. When they were watching that, like, Bradley and the kids like ended up all like hugging each other towards the end of like that scene in the same way that it was happening on screen.
When
That's very cute.
Yeah, really cute.
No.
But they also have a stamp of approval on this movie. They like it.
Nice.
Okay, so any guesses on the budget?
Ooh. Fucking loads.
I want to give you
75. 70.
Okay,
80 million.
I want to just see
100 million.
hang on, let me just see what A Star Is Born budget was.
That is
okay,
good.
so A Star Is Born was 36 million US dollars. You've said 75. You've said 80.
I'm going to go 90. Wait,
90.
how many what did you say?
36.
36.
Oh, I'm going to say 80, yeah.
And you?
75.
The answer is 80 million.
Yes.
80 million.
She's a budgeting pro.
Yeah. 80 million USD. And hilariously, obviously, it only went to the cinema for a very short amount of time because it's a Netflix film. But the box office was 820,000 US dollars.
Oh, they did really well.
Got the money back.
But yeah, I mean, we'll never know how it's doing for them on,
Netflix.
I've got 2 Letterboxd reviews.
Okay.
And neither of them are that great. I was trying to find a 5-star one, but I couldn't. So
You should have written it.
yeah. So Neo Rap gave it 2.5 stars and said A Tar Is Born. Did you guys watch Tar?
No, I
So
still haven't
good.
seen Tar, you know. I need to.
Yeah, a conductor.
Yeah.
Tar is great. I mean,
Alright.
it's so different. It's just because they're conductors, but
Everyone's like really liking them on Letterboxd, which I think is just unfair. But like, yeah, I mean, it wins for sure. Tar.
Okay.
If they were
without
Add
in
into the
battle.
list.
And then the film Drunk gave it 3.5 stars and says conducting is so goddamn cinematic, and I agree.
Yeah, true, fair.
But 3 stars.
not that cinematic.
Yeah, resting solely on that. Okay, so up next, Bradley Cooper is set to direct his next movie. Is going to also be produced with Will Arnett, and it's called Is This Thing On? So he's got his next director. I think that's what he wants to do now, write and direct movies. That's his thing.
Will Arnett.
Well, it does seem like it, yeah.
But I mean, just like solely, like he's not having breaks in between his pictures
okay.
doing other people's.
Will Arnett.
I think he wants to be a director.
Really?
I think he's really going to pursue this now.
Carey Mulligan is also doing a movie that's in production at the moment with Sian Clifford, and it's about a lottery winner.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, I'm
That's a
just
fun
gonna
Yeah.
That one's called One for the Money.
one for the money.
Okay, brilliant. Well, girls, what are your final thoughts?
I'm really glad that we had a chat about this. I feel quite bad on Bradley because I feel like I've been a bit tight on him, which is mean.
Hey.
So, yeah. I think I'll watch it again. I think I might enjoy it more. Actually, will I watch it again?
I don't think you're
no,
going to.
absolutely not.
Let's not lie.
I really don't think you're
Guys,
As soon as I said it, I was like,
This is Frank Film Club.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
to be quite frank, that was a lie, and I won't be doing that. But yeah, I am excited to see what he does next. I hope I enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've loved talking about this. I think it's really exciting and just fulfilling to speak about a film that I like. I don't know if you could gather, but I wasn't a fan of this film. I wasn't the biggest fan of this film.
Really?
But objectively, like him as a director and I really back his passion. I think it's really inspiring. So and I have loved talking about it.
Amazing. Yeah, me too. I've really loved chatting with you both about it. And I really loved researching this one. This one was like, it gave more like than the movie, the research, which is like, you know, says something about the movie, but my life is better. So,
and that's why we're all here.
Thank you. Okay, if you want to chat to us about this movie, share your thoughts, then you can reach us on TikTok and Instagram at Frank Film Club. You can also reach out to us on email, which is filmclub@wrapped.world. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then how do we look? And also make sure you like and subscribe, because it really does us the world of good. And if you're listening to us on your podcast platform, then make sure you give us a follow and a subscribe, so as you can get a notification every Wednesday when we upload.
Next week, we're talking about Femme, which is also available to watch on Netflix, like Maestro. But as a bit of a pre-warning, there is some sensitive content in that film, so just double check content warning before you watch. But see you next week.
Yay!
This podcast was presented by Wrapped.